Well, music was something that I loved from when I was a kid, but I never thought I'd do it in any kind of professional way. My first dream was to be an athlete. It wasn't until I got to university and realized, although I had a passion for sports, that wasn't what I was meant to do. So I decided I quit school and said, well, I'm just going to be in a band. When you're a kid and you're not afraid of anything, there was nothing daunting about it. You just figured, well, I'm going to quit school, I'm going to go on the road and play in a band. And that's what I did. And 2 years from there, I was signed to EMI Records out of Los Angeles. And for a kid out of Toronto to be signed to a company in Los Angeles, that was a big deal. At around 1985, the band had split up. And I was well onto another band by then. But around 1988, 1989, the song was re-released. It went to #1 without a video, without a band, without a manager, without a record company. I mean, literally, it was the power of a song. What made that amazing is that it was never done prior, and it's never been done since. I keep telling kids, if you have a song that resonates with people, it starts and ends with the song. We did 4 records together, Our Lady Peace and myself, and it was very intense those years because they went from learning how to walk to learning how to run.
You guys have worked with Arnold Lanni on every album so far. Why do you enjoy working with him so much, and would you consider working with another producer?
No. I mean, basically Arnold is like, he was our fifth. He was a guy that when we had no money and we were shopping or trying to find a studio to record in, he gave us his little private studio for very cheap. And that relationship built to where he stuck his head in, liked the music, basically. All of a sudden, we're recording demos, and like we're all sleeping under the console on the floor to try to finish things as quickly as we can, due to money constraints, obviously, at the beginning. And, you know, he's just that kind of guy where he'll sleep next to you on the floor under the console, and he's as passionate about the music as we are. And it's tough in this business to find someone who you can really count on for an honest answer. When Arn says, you know what, that chorus, guys, it's not there, you trust him, and you know, he's got great ideas as well. So we're just happy with the situation, and we want to keep it a close knit.
It's hard to stay in touch with everybody because lives become complicated, especially with bands. Eventually, after the 4th record, I remember just thinking, you know, these guys have done so great. They probably need someone else now to just stimulate them, kind of like a sparring partner, you know, just someone to challenge them. And since that time, they've went on to do, you know, some great things. It's funny, when we stopped working together, we just said, it's one of those things where, okay, I'll call you next week. And next week turns into next month, and then the next thing you know, a year goes by. When I met Finger 11, they were just a band of brothers. And I thought, this is going to be unbelievable because they had no fear of trying to do things that were different. So when we put out that first record, at that time in Canada, there was nobody doing that kind of stuff. Other people in the business thought, oh, this is going to be way too heavy. And to the band's credit, they just said, hell with it. You know, this is what we're going to do. I always thought that if something's melodic, it doesn't matter how you serve it up. People that, let's say, wouldn't normally listen to, you know, metal music or, you know, angry music, if you don't tell them what it is and they hear it for themselves and they hear this incredible melody, who cares how they define it? It doesn't matter. as long as you're enjoying it. So rather than give it a label, and we just said, let people discover it for what it is.
I woke up, it was 7. I waited till 11 just to figure out that no one would call.
I don't know if I know a band that worked harder than Simple Plan. They were so eager to do whatever it is we were going to do that it was infectious. It got a little bit crazy at the end of making that first record, because when someone's young, they're filled with piss and vinegar. They have their vision, they want to go, go, go. That's an amazing quality. But you can't always be right, especially when you're a young person. And there's just no way you can explain it to someone. They have to live through it. And I think what happened with Simple Plan is they were young in a sort of grown-up world. They knew that I loved them and just wanted the best for them. Looking back, maybe I should have been more, understanding that they were just young. You know, when you're in the heat of making a record, it's kind of like making a fire. You got to rub two things furiously to get a spark. There's some things that are constant. A good song, that's constant. A great singer, that's constant. Being entertained, that's constant. Those things are still the same today as they were not just 20 years ago, but from the very beginning. I mean, Elvis. It's hard to imagine, but there was a time when they couldn't tape him from the waist down. And then you go to Lady Gaga today and you think, it's like gynecology. Some things are the same. There's always trying to shock, or engage the listener or the viewer in some way. The way it's different is just the business. When I was a kid, there were maybe a handful of people that determined my career. I had no choice but to go to a major label. So if there were, let's say, 10 multinational companies, if the heads of those labels didn't think you had something, you just had no career. Whereas now, you can go directly to the world. And if you think you've got a good song, then you have every ability to get it out there. So really, the way I look at it, the industry today is finally fixed. It's been dysfunctional for 40 years. It's only in the last 5 years that it's actually repaired itself. The music is back into the hands of the people who created it. The best records are made when you've turned over every stone and looked everywhere to make sure that that melody is exactly the melody it needs to be. Not just it'll do. Or, you know what, time's up. Shut down the studio, we gotta go. And I never made records like that.